This weekend in Las Vegas, young pool players from around the country will compete in the National Championship of the Billiard Education Foundation. Among the contenders is a 14-year-old Chicago girl who took second place last year in the 14 and under category. Jay Shevsky just spent time with her and her dad and has this profile.
My name is Carson and I'm 14 and I'm going into high school.
I'm her dad. My name is Patrick. I'm a software architect, and I'm her pool coach.
Patrick Terry may be his daughter's coach, but she got to the game before he did.
One day she comes home with a trophy, and then I think it was some weeks later, she came home with another trophy, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, what's going on?
Carson was 8. The trophies were from a Park District after-school program, and it sounds like the competition at that stage may not have been so tough.
Some people would just use their hands to roll the ball around, but I actually used the stick, and I played a lot more than everybody else.
Patrick got a pool table for the basement, and he started to learn too. At first, he just saw it as a way to spend time with his daughter, but pretty quickly it became more than that.
With my personality, and I think with her personality as well, pool just happens to be one of those games that once you start getting it, it's very, very difficult to stop wanting to get better.
Patrick has become a pretty serious player himself and stays a few steps ahead of Carson so he can train her. Now, instead of just playing, they run drills. And more drills. Carson admits that it did take some of the fun out of it.
I wasn't used to having to practice all the time and just get on the table and really be serious about it. But as he became my coach and he started to get better than me, it really became a serious thing to do.
We bump heads. We bump heads about the practicing.
Sometimes I don't want to practice because maybe I just want to relax or something, but I know that it's necessary for me to do what I want to do, which is get better and win the tournament.
Last year, at age 13, Carson entered a national 14 and under tournament and took second. That brought a lot of offers from pros who wanted to coach her. But that costs money, and Carson said she'd rather train with her dad.
It's easier to talk to him and connect with him than somebody else that I don't know.
We finally just decided to keep it in-house, keep it father and daughter. I do know that if she keeps up with the pace that she's at right now, she is going to surpass me. I know this. And so I always have in the back of my mind, is she ever gonna go look for another coach when she's done with me, or is she ever gonna be done with me? I hope not.
And Carson says that much of what she's learning about pool applies outside of the game.
A lot of the advice that my dad gives me also seems to relate in just real life situations. Like, he'll give me advice during my tournaments, like I have to keep my emotions under control, and that comes in with life all the time.
When you're working in the future on your job, someone's going to do something that you dislike. How are you going to deal with it? And pool has been the vehicle for us to come up with solutions to how to deal with adversity or difficult situations.
John Lavin owns the Red Shoes Pool Hall where Carson and her father play. He says that for her age, Carson's game is outstanding.
Any of the pro players that come into my place that have just seen her from afar say her fundamentals are absolutely perfect. And that's obviously that's where all the rest of your game comes from, is having good fundamentals.
Historically, pool has always had its seedy side. Gambling, alcohol, organized crime. Patrick says he doesn't worry about that a bit.
If anything, I tell Carson, be a role model. You're at a level right now where you can officially call yourself a role model.
So we're going to be hitting the cue ball against that.
At the very least, Carson can be a role model and coach for me. I asked her for advice on my bank shot.
Nice. All right.
Carson Terry is not the only 14-year-old girl competing in national tournaments, but she is the only African-American girl or boy to make the finals in the 24-year history of this tournament. She and her dad say that's not the reason she got into this, but it is an extra source of motivation and pride.
It feels really good because after all that time of practice, you get to see the result and you get to see like what that hard work did. You get to see exactly like, this is what I've been doing all this year. This is what happens when you practice and you work hard like this.
For Chicago Tonight, this is Jay Shefsky.
I'm Carson's Terry.
I'm Patrick, I'm Carson's dad.
I've been playing for a long time and I just like it. Like, I like 9-ball the best because it's like kind of like the fastest game, and I like how I just like the safeties and stuff in 9-ball.
I know that she does want to get better, and it's just important that she understands that this is a great vehicle, this game of pool, to learn what it takes to be good at anything. And this game forces you to be dedicated at a level that's probably different than other challenges. So if you can learn how to be dedicated at a game like this, then it's going to be easier for you to master other things in life. So it's a game that gives you so many different things. It teaches you how to sort of like grow up, if you will. Helps you to master what dedication really means, what it means to sacrifice stuff, you know, because you're putting in time on the table when maybe your other friends are out doing other things that may seem more fun. And you can have fun at it. And the game becomes so much more fun when you understand it and you're playing well.
So we'll return to Carson and Patrick in a moment, but first, let's revisit Arkansas to see how Justin, Tony, and Butch did in their final week of training. As the second week went on, all three players were learning more and more position shots. And as their knowledge of shots grew, so did their ability to read patterns.
Shoot this here, draw back a little bit. Each time, you get your 4, your 5. You take your 6 here, come back to the table for that right there. So.
Well, today is day 14. It's the last day of the whole experiment, and I got to say, this is easily the most I've ever learned in pool. I mean, through the first week was the most I'd ever learned in pool. So if you can imagine after 2 weeks, you know, what it's done for me is pretty amazing. I mean, I have to thank my parents. They've always been really supportive. You know, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months from now, I should be a lot stronger player. I mean, I can already tell there's, you know, between changing my stance, changing my grip, changing, you know, my bridge on the table, you know, I fixed some fundamental flaws. And that was one thing I wanted Tor to do. I wanted him to just break my game apart and build it back up. And so the rest is on me. And, you know, finally, I definitely, you know, I want to thank Tor. I mean, here's a guy he's got even more knowledge than he had time to show us here. And he did it, and it didn't cost me anything. It just cost me time. And it's just been probably the greatest experience in my life.
Okay, this is day 14 of the 14-day challenge. Very sad day. It's over after the day. When we started out, I changed everything. Changed the way I looked at patterns. I changed everything. And once we got into it, you know, I'm reading patterns different. I'm shooting the balls different. I'm standing different. I still have a long, long way to go, but I know how to get there. I know how to recognize my trouble shots. I know how to work my way through them. I can read a pattern a lot better. It's been a great thing. It'll be interesting to see how I'm playing in, say, 6 months.
This is day 14 of the 14-day challenge. I want to start off by thanking Tor for all the hard work and the time that he's put in with this. He's put in, some days we work 12, 13, 14 hours on pattern play and our trouble shots, which I found out that there's a ton of them out there for all of us. I think I came away with, after 14 days, about 30, maybe 40 trouble shots that I'm going to start working on tomorrow after tour's gone. I'm going to try to work on 3 to 4 a week, make my game even stronger. This was a nice jump start to my game again. I felt like I was in a stall pattern, and now I feel like I'm ready to take off and soar.
And since I've left, Butch has continued to play well, and his league has now moved him from a B to an A player. And Justin has also been playing well and is even starting to cash in local tournaments. Now all 3 participants are well on their way to becoming strong pool players, but they all have around 20 to 30 problem shots apiece that they need to work on. And they'll need to monitor their games when they play league in case more problem shots pop up. And at this stage in their development, it's not about winning or losing when they play leagues or tournaments. It's more important that they monitor their game for any weaknesses and keep their fundamentals rock solid. So if they can begin to start erasing these problem shots, even 1 or 2 a week, they'll all be well on their way to becoming strong pool players. And 14 Days had a great time with all 3 participants, and we would like to thank Butch for allowing us to use his great pool room. So now I'm off to St. Louis to spend some time with 2 pool players, and I'm also going to interview Mark Wilson, the captain of the 2014 Moscone Cup team. He has some great ideas for winning this year's contest. So I arrived in St. Louis to meet up with One Pocket John and Nick. And since my time was limited with both of them, I needed to find their problem areas as quickly as possible. So I watched John hit a couple shots, and right away I knew what a few of his problems are. And these are problems that are shared by many people. First, he was shooting with his cue at too steep of an angle. And when he tried to follow the cue ball, he wasn't hitting nearly high enough on the cue ball. Also, he was shooting way too hard on most shots. To get effective follow with the least amount of effort, you really need to be striking that cue ball as high as possible.
This isn't power, it's a stroke. You just want a nice soft stroke. Now look how easy you hit that. First time you really overhit the ball.
Ready?
Yeah. Now keep that stick flat. And just put your tip right up. You're just going to be hitting it a lot easier. So once you start hitting a little bit higher on the cue ball, you don't have to hit it as hard.
So once we leveled out his cue and had him striking higher on the cue ball, he was moving the cue ball around the table with about half the effort as before.
Yeah, you know, I have to say this. Now see the direction it took?
And since John loves playing one pocket, I set up some one pocket patterns so he could work on his short game. And one problem John had was that he had too long of a backstroke when he was hitting balls softly. Once we shortened his backstroke, he was able to control the cue ball much better in tight areas. Then, later, we had John work on some banks using a numbering system.
42 to 21. Here's 21 and 42. What's it? A bunch of twiggies running around? You're close to 64, 32, 65, 32 and a half. And now you know coming from this angle, it may go a little bit wide. Because we run that when we shot 80 to 40, it just went a little bit wide.
So how do I compensate for that?
Well, it depends on the. This one from this angle, From that angle, it's probably 3 long. So I would just maybe just go 1 this way.
All right,
So what number are you using over here?
I'm at 64, 34, 32.
So you can even hit a little higher, because you're going to hit a little bit easier, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you hit this hard, it doesn't matter. If you hit it easy, that's when the wide. You can see how it widens a little bit.
So while One Pocket John was working on his drills, I met up with Nick out of Granite City, Illinois.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Yant. Getting help here. I'm trying to advance my game and become hopefully one of the best players around. But for now, I'm just willing to take all the advice I can get and learn as much as I can.
So I had Nick shoot some racks of Ghost Pool so I could see where some of his problems are.
Must be hard to see that 5 ball, huh?
Actually, it's really not that bad. Everyone thought it would be, and I did too at first, but
yeah.
I'm gonna hit that one too hard. Yep.
So since we are limited in time, I'm going to have to work quickly to correct some of Nick's problems. And one of his biggest problems is pattern play. So for several hours, he's going to have to practice half-table pattern play using only center, center low, and center high. He has to start understanding the basics of pattern play before moving on to full table patterns.
You can actually move.
Okay, if we put the 1 ball right there, yeah.
Yeah, I see that. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to shoot it like this. You don't want the angle. You have an angle like this when you're shooting.
Okay.
You want your stick as flat as possible. And if you're going to use high, you want to hit way up here. See how high I'm hitting?
Yep.
That's where you get your little high action. So make your stick flat as possible. You want to be hitting, and let me see. Yeah, that's where you want to be hitting. You want it, and you want to just hit it nice and soft. There you go. But part of your pre-shot is when you get down, you want your stick flat. All the way
Completely
down.
level there.
Yeah. Keep your stick flat. And now we want you to stay down until the ball goes in the pocket. That's going to be true for every shot. This is just going to be a little below center and pop it out. Stay down, okay.
So finally, we moved on to full table pattern play. We started with 4-ball patterns, and I had him try to figure out the easiest way to run them out. And if he ran across a shot he had problems with, we would just sticker up the shot and have him shoot it over and over.
With everything else.
Yeah, you got a lot of things to think about. There you go. Remember to get your bridge figured out. There you go. It's getting better.
Yeah.
There you go. This is another common shot in 9-ball.
After a couple days of pattern play, we had well over 60 stickers on the table.
And now you know whenever it comes
And each one of these stickers represents a weakness that's been holding him back from getting stronger at pool. And this is why it's important to monitor your game. Many of these problem shots that we're running into now should have been taken care of a long time ago. But since Nick wasn't monitoring his game, his weaknesses never went away. And when we started doing pattern play, all these weaknesses started popping up one after the other.
This is a shot here? The last single?
Yeah, I was almost completely straight. And again.
Okay, so that's a problem shot.
Today it is.
Well, we're not just trying to make it. You could probably make this all day long.
Yeah.
But we're trying to get into a
Position.
specific position. Because I've met a lot of shot makers, but once they try to get into a certain position,
Yeah.
everything falls apart. They quit making balls.
So that's what's wrong with me then.
It's not, if you just had to shoot this and just fire away at it with no other balls on the table, you could probably make that all day long. Even on a bad day, you'd be able to make this, right? But right now, we're trying to control the cue ball. Yeah, so it's not the shot, it's just trying to get cue ball in an exact position. Set this up. Where was this at?
Right there.
Oh, I thought we had a sticker on it. Oh, it's right. So that angle is throwing it.
I pulled the sticker.
So for 3 days, Nick spent countless hours working on his problem shots, practicing on some nights well
The
past
literal actual
midnight.
angle is throwing it. Wow.
Much better.
And by the 4th day, Nick had not only removed a few of his problem shots, but he was starting to understand pattern play much better. So much so that he ended up beating the 6-ball Ghost in a race to 7, only losing 2 games. But Nick still has a lot of problem shots he needs to remove if he ever wants to beat the Ghost at 9-ball. So he promised me he would keep practicing these shots and he would keep monitoring his game for any new weaknesses.
Nice.
So now before I head to Chicago, I'm going to stop in at St. Charles, Missouri to meet up with my friend Mark Wilson. And I've known Mark since I was just starting pool in Moline, Illinois. And he's always been one of the true gentlemen of the sport. And Mark currently coaches a billiards team at Lindenwood University, which is where I met up with him.
On this team, we request that you maintain a 3.0 GPA, which is, that's pretty strong in school. I mean, you got to work. And I help them. I have tutors on staff, and if you're having your parents are splitting up, and you have psychological problems, I got guidance counselors and counselors that mental. So there's really no reason to wash out once you get here. And we work hard, but we have a lot of fun. And we do things. Last year we took a trip to a VA hospital where we played a match, just because those guys sacrifice for our country. Right. And oftentimes they get decent health care and decent housing. No one ever, their own families don't come visit, and they're the loneliest guys you've ever seen. They're so thrilled. So I always take, like my young, vibrant, they draw life off of these kids, and they get a kick out of it, and then I let them play and interact too. We have a match there. But we want to do a lot of benevolent acts like that to kind of put the sport in the right light. So, and this is also very much going to be a reflection on the Moscone Cup team. Right. Is that those same core values will hold true. It doesn't matter, I don't care if you run 500 balls, you're not going to be on this year's Moscone Cup team if you don't have honor, integrity, and respect.
Because that's one thing with the European teams, they seem to have that, right? That unity, the discipline.
I really think part of it comes at their approach. We always come at it in America, and I'm saying it generically, but I'm just saying, oh, you played tour? How much you win? Oh, just $40, that was it? Oh, okay. It's like it's not even worth. You know, it's more about the money, not about the sport. Not about like I would just like to beat you for the sake of beating you and say I played good. You know, not how much did you win. You know, it's always money, money, money. And many of the guys that are good players today, if the money was in tiddlywinks, then they just practice tiddlywinks every day. They don't really even care what game. They don't have that drive and passion, you know, for it. And so anyway, that's kind of. Where the Europeans, they don't look at it as an income thing. They look at it as a sport first, and then the money will follow if we make it a sport, you know.
Right, it's that respect for the sport, right, first and foremost. So is that going to be difficult working with the American team, trying to do that?
No, yes, but it's kind of a twofold. No, because the yes part of it, they never had any leadership. They just look up to the previous generation, which is oftentimes the wrong people, even though they were skilled players, didn't really lead that way, you know. And so, yes, because they're so indoctrinated into that mindset, it's going to be tough. But the fact that they're all broke, and I say, here's the path we're going to follow. No, I'm just saying, you know, I'm not jumping. I mean, there's no money in it. So if we want to, we can't persist in what we've done for 40 years because I've watched it. We have got nowhere toward. Nowhere. And so we're going to have to change directions here. And so in that regard, it might be hard for them to change direction. But on the other hand, I think they might be open to it because they know they're not doing too good. I mean, there's no denying that. You know, it's kind of the same way I got the Moscone Cup job was the fact that we did so poorly over the last 8 years. And the U.S. is exactly 100 racks behind the Europeans in 8 years. That's a heck of a beating. Don't tell me bad rolls. I don't even want to dream of being that many bad rolls, you know, but we're oftentimes, you know, excuse makers. Not really me. It's got some bad rolls and the crowd was hostile. And the referee walked in front of my shot. It's never me, actually. It's not that I didn't practice, you know. So we're going to get down to work ethic and understanding what respect for the sport. You know, if you and I don't respect it, or my players can't, how can I ask somebody else to pay money to respect it? You know, I mean, how can you even? You know, so that's.
So these are going to be like certain guidelines when they first come in as part of your team. And what happens is, are there like penalties? Do they break any of the rules?
Yeah, much like here. If you break one of these, if you go on campus and you do something that causes a scene or a disturbance, and it's a reflection on the players' team. And so it was a once and done, and the report, you know, and if I have to do it again, and if I have to get all 8 new players for the Moscone Cup, I would be willing to do that. I don't think I do. I think I selected people to have an understanding of what I'm saying, but nice words is one thing, actions is quite another, you know, and so we're going to find out.
Right.
You know, we are going to find out, and that's how you're going to earn the final 5 spots, and then if I have to bring in new people.
Has any leader ever done that with the Moscone Cup team, saying, do it this way or you're out?
No, but in fairness, they never had a chance. What happened was, after the U.S. Open, which is usually October, then they would name 1 player per week to the U.S. team. And then it was like a big, hey, you know, Tor Lowry, and now this week, oh, it's Mark Wilson too, and then who's next? We don't know, you know, and try to generate some PR, you know. And then after the team was selected, based oftentimes on their results, or perhaps in some cases on their marketability for television, they put together a team that they thought would be, you know, the highest skill levels. And then they would name the coach with literally just a few weeks to go before the match. And so it was just more of a figurehead position, just kind of a nice thing, sounded cool, like you got a coach, you know, but it never meant anything because players were all over the United States and there was never any time to really do anything. Last year's team behaved so poorly after 20 years that the matchroom who puts this on changed the wholesale the way they do business. They used to select the players and have the criteria. This year, 30 days later, here's a new coach, it's all on you. No, that's how bad it had to be. And, you know, poor behavior, disrespectful, all the things I was just describing. All the things that the sign is not about, you know, and so that's kind of how it led to this, and that's why you can't really fault anyone for failure. They never really had a chance, and oftentimes didn't even have the mental capacity to do something if they did have a chance. So when I was appointed Moscone Cup captain, it quickly became a thing where, you know, it was a great honor, and then with it came, you know, a great deal of responsibility because I feel that to the American billiard public, to put forth a product that they can be proud of and that's disciplined and professional, because I've always been willing to say, why didn't this happen? Who didn't do this? And the game's not any better. It's somebody's fault. Well, now I got a position, and I thought, you know what? I don't give a damn if I don't sleep for 10 months. No, really, because I may never get this, and I don't owe anybody anything. I don't have to, like usually when you get something that's a plum position, usually you say, well, this outfit that got me the job, they want so-and-so on the team, and I really don't want them, but I kind of owe it to them. I don't owe anybody. I can put whoever on. You know, I can put myself on, me and Thor, play this match, you know. And so that I really like, but the other part of it is that I don't want to squander this. And so that's why I've been up since 6 this morning and virtually every day, and I go to bed working on it every day, 7 days a week. Seriously.
So you're creating a game plan. Basically.
Oh, huge game plan, yeah. Huge game plan. You want to hear about it?
Yeah.
Number one.
Next, on 14 Days, Mark discusses his strategy to winning this year's Moscone Cup.
The Americans did so poorly. The matchroom is sensitive to the fact that it's starting to look like it's spiraling out of control. Last year we lost 11-2, and the 2 games we won were 6-5 and 6-5. So theoretically we could have lost 11-0 with 2 different racks of 9-ball.
He then talks about his new book, Play Great Pool.
He read the entire thing and brought back this great big manuscript like this, and he opened up to like page 532 or something. And he says, "Look at this paragraph right here." I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Look at this. I mean, read that." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "You wrote that perfect. That is excellent. I don't think we're going to have to do one thing to that." And I've been working on it for over 10 years at that point. And I thought he was making a little joke, you know, but he wasn't. And so then he thought when he started out that it would be, if we worked really hard 5 or 6 weeks, we'd really have this thing dressed up, which he put a girl through medical school and she graduated before we completed it, you know, so it ended up being 5 or 6 years.
We'll then start Carson's training and we'll have her begin with Ghost Pool so we can see where some of her problems are. We'll then move on to half table pattern play.
Yes, a little bit.
And stay tuned for an upcoming episode which shows my interview with Robert Byrne, the man who has sold more pool books than anyone in history. And he also talks about his famous instructional video.
It's time with the object ball on the foot spot. A common shot because that's the spot illegally pocketed balls return to the table. We're going to shoot it as a progressive drill.